Imagine waking up one day to find your hometown sinking into economic chaos. Businesses shuttered, public services crippled, and people packing up and fleeing to greener pastures. If the U.S. economy crashes, and some experts warn it's not a question of if, but when certain states could be the first to feel the pain. While others might weather the storm, these 10 states are standing on shaky ground, poised to collapse faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. So, is your state on the list? Let's dive right in and find out. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more engaging content. Number 10, New Mexico. New Mexico, with its breathtaking deserts, vibrant art scene, and rich Native American heritage, is a jewel of the Southwest. However, beneath its colorful exterior lies a fragile economy heavily dependent on government jobs, oil, and gas, all sectors vulnerable in a crash. With poverty rates already hovering around 18.4% in 2024, according to U.S. Census Bureau data, New Mexico is already teetering. According to Moody's Analytics, a recession would disproportionately impact states reliant on extractive industries, and New Mexico ranks among the top. Oil price drops in previous downturns have devastated local economies, and a repeat performance could trigger mass layoffs and budget shortfalls. Education and healthcare, two of the state's biggest employers, would also suffer from federal budget cuts. The Albuquerque Journal reported that New Mexico's unemployment rate rose to 5.1% in early 2025, one of the highest in the nation. If the national economy tanks, state services could buckle under pressure, leading to soaring unemployment, rising homelessness, and a wave of outbound migration. To make matters worse, WalletHub recently ranked New Mexico among the bottom 5 states in fiscal health, measuring debt levels and long-term budget planning. Without strong rainy day funds or diversified industries, the land of enchantment could quickly become the land of economic despair. Number 9, Mississippi. Mississippi, steeped in rich Southern traditions and home to stunning landscapes along the mighty Mississippi River, faces serious risks if an economic crash hits. The state's economy is heavily reliant on agriculture, manufacturing, and low-wage service jobs, sectors that tend to collapse rapidly during downturns. As of 2024, Mississippi's poverty rate was 19.6%, the highest in the United States, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. A 2025 analysis by the Brookings Institution warned that states with high poverty, weak healthcare systems, and limited job diversity are most vulnerable in a national recession. Mississippi fits this profile almost perfectly, with fragile safety nets that could snap under mass unemployment. Public infrastructure, already rated a D+ by the American Society of Civil Engineers, would likely suffer further degradation. The Clarion Ledger reported that Mississippi's unemployment rate climbed to 5.5% by early 2025, signaling underlying weaknesses even before a crash. In an economic downturn, essential services like healthcare, education, and public safety would be among the first victims of state budget cuts. Adding to the concern, WalletHub ranked Mississippi among the least financially resilient states, citing its heavy dependence on federal aid and low median household income. If the economy tanks, Mississippi could find itself trapped in a downward spiral of unemployment, emigration, and worsening poverty. Meanwhile, a Pew Research Center survey found that 34% of Mississippi residents expressed serious concern about their financial futures in early 2025, a figure expected to spike dramatically if a recession hits. Without major reforms or new revenue streams, Mississippi could be among the first states to buckle. Number 8, Nevada. Nevada, the glittering jewel of the American West, has long dazzled with its neon-lit cities and endless entertainment. But behind the bright lights, Nevada's economy rests precariously on tourism, gaming, and hospitality, industries that crumble during economic crises. According to the Nevada Department of Employment, tourism accounted for over 23% of the state's GDP in 2024. If the economy crashes, tourists will stay home, casinos will go dark, and hotels will empty, putting thousands out of work almost overnight. In fact, during the 2020 pandemic recession, Nevada posted the highest unemployment rate in the nation, soaring to a staggering 28.2% at its peak, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The Las Vegas Review-Journal noted that, even in early 2025, Nevada's economy remains one bad quarter away from crisis, with home foreclosures creeping upward for the first time in years. Real estate, another major economic pillar, would likely collapse again, just as it did in the Great Recession. Meanwhile, a 2025 Wallet Hub study ranked Nevada among the most recession-prone states due to its high levels of consumer debt and reliance on vulnerable industries. When the economic music stops, Nevada could be left scrambling to keep the lights on, literally and figuratively. Additionally, Zillow reported that Las Vegas home values dropped by 4.2% in early 2025, a concerning early sign of weakening economic confidence. If the crash deepens, Nevada could relive its painful housing market collapse from the late 2000s, only worse. Number 7. Alaska. Alaska, the rugged last frontier, is renowned for its breathtaking wilderness, oil riches, and independent spirit. Yet beneath its majestic mountains and icy landscapes lies an economy that is alarmingly vulnerable to national downturns. Much of Alaska's revenue hinges on oil production, tourism, and government subsidies, three sectors that tend to nosedive when recessions strike. According to the Alaska Department of Revenue, oil taxes accounted for nearly 30% of state revenue in 2024, making it highly sensitive to volatile energy markets. If global oil demand plummets during an economic crash, Alaska's state budget would face devastating shortfalls, impacting everything from healthcare to infrastructure. The Anchorage Daily News reported that Alaska's unemployment rate crept up to 5.7% in early 2025, already showing cracks before any major national collapse. Furthermore, the state's high cost of living and remote location could exacerbate problems as food prices rise and essential goods become scarcer. Adding to the alarm, Wallet Hub ranked Alaska among the least diversified economies in 2025, relying heavily on a few sectors with minimal buffers. If the economy falters, many Alaskans could find themselves grappling with job losses, skyrocketing living costs, and dwindling public services. Meanwhile, a 2025 Pew Research Center survey indicated that 29% of Alaskans expressed serious doubts about the state's economic future, the highest level of pessimism recorded since the 1980s oil bust. Number 6. Louisiana. Louisiana, with its rich musical heritage, flavorful cuisine, and historic charm, paints a lively picture on the surface. But behind the colorful Mardi Gras floats and jazz festivals lies an economy teetering on a fragile base. Heavy reliance on energy production, tourism, and seafood industries places Louisiana in a precarious position if a crash unfolds. The U.S. Energy Information Administration reported that in 2024, oil and gas made up over 15% of Louisiana's GDP, making it extremely vulnerable to shifts in global energy prices. As seen in previous downturns, a collapse in oil markets would trigger widespread layoffs, bankruptcies, and budget crises across the state. The Times-Picayune highlighted that Louisiana's poverty rate climbed to 18.2% in 2025, while major cities like New Orleans continue to struggle with fragile infrastructure and crime rates, both of which worsen under economic strain. Public school systems and healthcare networks, already underfunded, would likely deteriorate further in a recession. Compounding the problem, Wallet Hub's 2025 financial health ranking placed Louisiana among the bottom 10 states due to high debt loads and minimal emergency reserves. In a severe crash, Louisiana could quickly spiral into a humanitarian and economic crisis. Moreover, a Southern Economic Development Council report found that 31% of Louisiana residents are extremely concerned about their job stability in 2025, foreshadowing even greater struggles ahead if the broader economy tanks. Number 5. West Virginia. West Virginia, a land of rolling hills, historic coal mines, and tight-knit communities, wears its proud traditions on its sleeve. Yet its economy has long been a fragile one, dependent on industries that are especially vulnerable during national downturns. According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, coal mining still accounted for over 10% of West Virginia's GDP in 2024, despite years of decline. When the economy tanks, demand for coal, manufacturing, and construction materials falls sharply, putting West Virginia squarely in the crosshairs. A 2025 Brookings Institution study ranked West Virginia among the states least prepared to withstand economic shocks, citing poor diversification and high public health costs. The Charleston Gazette-Mail reported that the state's unemployment rate rose to 6.1% in early 2025, while opioid addiction rates continued to climb, a deadly combination during times of economic stress. Local governments, already cash-strapped, would be unable to cushion the blow for vulnerable populations. Adding further concern, Wallet Hub placed West Virginia in the bottom 3 for financial resilience, pointing to crumbling infrastructure and limited fiscal reserves. In a major recession, West Virginia could be plunged into a full-blown economic and humanitarian crisis. Additionally, a Pew Research Center poll revealed that 36% of West Virginians now consider moving out of state due to economic concerns, a troubling sign that the next downturn could trigger a mass exodus. Number 4. Arkansas. Arkansas, known for its natural beauty, warm hospitality, and agricultural legacy, sits quietly at the heart of the South. But beneath the scenic landscapes lies an economy vulnerable to disruption, heavily reliant on low-wage industries like agriculture, poultry processing, and retail. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, Arkansas ranked among the top 5 states for employment in vulnerable sectors as of 2024. If an economic crash hits, layoffs in agriculture, transportation, and retail would send shockwaves through communities already struggling with high poverty rates. The Arkansas Democrat-Gazette reported that the state's poverty rate increased to 17.5% in early 2025, while healthcare access remains limited, especially in rural areas. Without strong safety nets, Arkansas would face rising homelessness, food insecurity, and social unrest in the event of a severe downturn. Meanwhile, a 2025 Wallet Hub report highlighted Arkansas as having one of the lowest average household savings rates in the nation, making families more vulnerable to job losses and financial emergencies. Adding to the storm, a Southern Policy Foundation survey found that 33% of Arkansans expressed serious worry about their ability to meet basic needs if the economy weakens, a clear warning sign of the fragility beneath the surface. Number 3. Kentucky. Kentucky, famed for its rolling bluegrass fields, bourbon trails, and iconic horse races, exudes a rich cultural legacy. But beneath the charm lies a state economy vulnerable to the harsh realities of a national economic collapse. Kentucky leans heavily on manufacturing, agriculture, and coal, all sectors that historically falter first in recessions. According to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, manufacturing made up 18% of Kentucky's GDP in 2024, making it especially sensitive to any major economic downturn. A sudden drop in consumer spending would hit manufacturing jobs hard, leading to widespread layoffs across cities like Louisville and Lexington. The Courier-Journal reported that Kentucky's unemployment rate rose to 5.8% in early 2025, driven in part by early contractions in the manufacturing sector. Meanwhile, rural areas continue to struggle with healthcare access, infrastructure decay, and educational underfunding, issues that tend to worsen in recessions. Wallet Hub's 2025 Financial Stress Report ranked Kentucky among the top 10 most vulnerable states, citing high levels of household debt and minimal emergency savings among residents. If the economy tanks, Kentucky's economic foundations could crumble fast, deepening poverty and triggering major outmigration. Additionally, a Pew Research Center survey showed that 35% of Kentuckians feel highly anxious about job security and healthcare access if another recession strikes, a worrying sign for a state already on the economic edge. Number 2. Alabama. Alabama, rich in civil rights history, Southern traditions, and strong community bonds, faces significant risks if a recession strikes. Although the state has made strides in economic diversification, a large portion of its workforce remains tied to manufacturing, agriculture, and low-wage service sectors. According to the Alabama Department of Labor, manufacturing accounted for nearly 16% of the state's jobs in 2024, a sector historically hammered during economic downturns. A drop in demand for automobiles, aerospace components, and industrial goods would ripple through the state's economy rapidly. AL.com reported that Alabama's poverty rate climbed to 17.1% in early 2025, while food insecurity levels rose to alarming heights across rural counties. In a major economic collapse, Alabama's fragile healthcare system, already ranked among the worst in the nation by U.S. News & World Report, would be stretched to the breaking point. Meanwhile, a 2025 Wallet Hub report ranked Alabama among the bottom 5 states for financial preparedness, citing low household savings rates and high consumer debt levels. Without strong fiscal defenses, the state could quickly face soaring unemployment, housing crises, and overwhelmed social services. Adding to the pressure, a University of Alabama survey found that 32% of residents fear they could lose their homes if a severe recession hits, underscoring the fragile foundation upon which many Alabamians currently stand. Number 1. Hawaii. Hawaii, the tropical paradise known for its stunning beaches, rich native culture, and laid-back island spirit, might seem like the last place to worry about economic collapse. But under the surface, Hawaii's economy is uniquely vulnerable to a nationwide downturn. Heavy reliance on tourism, real estate, and imported goods leaves the Aloha State exposed in ways few other states are. According to the Hawaii Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, visitor spending accounted for over 20% of Hawaii's GDP in 2024. If the economy crashes and travel slows to a trickle, the ripple effect would devastate hotels, restaurants, transportation services, and small businesses across the islands. The Honolulu Star-Advertiser reported that Hawaii's unemployment rate ticked up to 5.9% in early 2025, before any national crash in food and housing costs are already among the highest in the nation. A deep recession could push thousands of middle-class families into poverty almost overnight, overwhelming the state's limited social support systems. Even small disruptions in shipping or supply chains could trigger massive shortages due to Hawaii's geographic isolation. Adding to the risk, a University of Hawaii survey found that 41% of residents fear being unable to afford basic necessities if a major economic downturn occurs, highlighting the hidden vulnerabilities in this island paradise. When the economy crashes, and history suggests it eventually will, some U.S. states will be hit far harder and faster than others. From Hawaii's fragile tourism industry to Mississippi's grinding poverty, these 10 states stand on economic thin ice, hoping the cracks don't widen beneath them. What about America's big cities? Which ones could collapse first in a recession? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and explore our channel for more must-know stories about America's future. Thank you for watching.